Good evening, everyone. Hope you guys are doing okay. What a long week for myself. Very hectic with work and family commitments. But here I am, nevertheless, trying to update you guys on things that I guess some of you guys are very interested in. So I've had a lot of requests in regards to the amplifier in disguise, the amplifier under that Past Labs cover. First, let me just say that in this video, I will not be playing any music. So if you're expecting that, please don't. This video is going to be strictly about that amplifier and what that amplifier brings to the table. Let me just say that if you're new to the channel, I've had quite a few amplifiers. I think maybe over 300 amplifiers in general. And so I am very, very clear on the value proposition, the bang for the buck. How much do you really get from an amplifier that's relatively cheap when compared to those that are way, way, way above the reach of many of us? This amplifier is not mine. This amplifier is on loan. I want to say that. Okay, this amplifier was someone very nice, very close to me. Let me borrow this amplifier. Came directly from the manufacturer to me, and I was the very first one to break in this amplifier. Basically, the amplifier now has approximately 3 weeks worth of playtime. Okay, I think it's still got a lot more to go, but I think now I can talk about it. I think I have a very good perception of what this amplifier can do. Okay, today's video is the very first video, guys. I decided I'm going to do something really cool going forward, because now I must talk and I must be able to give you guys some content that you guys are interested in listening to. I am going to do something that I have never done, even on my channel. On my thread on one of the websites. I've decided to take a few pages of some of the other channels out there and twist it and do my own version of reviews, amplifier reviews, to be more specific. This is going to be very difficult, I must say. The reason for that is because I go through a lot of components, right? I go through a lot of preamplifiers, a lot of cabling, speakers even. And so in order for you to really assess an amplifier, it is my belief that you have to try to be as consistent as possible with the supporting cast. If you begin to change preamplification and you review a new amplifier with that new preamplifier, your ratings might be skewed. It might not necessarily be the same for every amplifier when you change too many variables. Now, changing a cable or two is fine, but when it comes to changing an entire component, such as a preamplifier or a whole DAC, I believe things can get a little confusing. So bear with me. It's my first time out doing this. Very first time I'm going to attempt to do this. I do not know what's going to come out of this. I am going to try to be as objective as possible for you all, so that you guys understand what my thoughts are on amplifiers in general. Today, I am going to be reviewing the very first formal amplifier in my channel. This amplifier has an MSRP of $18,000. Okay, which puts it right around the Luxman 900U amplifier that I own and that I dearly loved. As you guys know, that amplifier really, really had a soft spot in my heart. The 5 times I've owned it, it really, really left a long-lasting impression. But I moved on from the amplifier. As you know, I have decided to, move on to green pastures and to be able to bring you guys more fun things. I want to be giving you guys just much more fun, much more content, and unfortunately I can't keep any of this equipment. Everything you see here, as I mentioned on my previous video, no matter how much I love it, it'll go. Eventually it'll be time for it to pack bags and move on. and leave my home, and I will be bringing a replacement to review. That's just nature. That's just how this works. Okay, so don't think that because I sold a component, now all of a sudden it's no good. It's not the case. Okay, it's not the case. All right, so here's what I'm planning on doing, guys. I have selected 10 categories, okay, which will add up to a total of 100 points. The max you can get per category is 10 points, okay? And obviously, if you get a 10, that means the category, it excels on that particular category. If you get a 1, that means you're not that, it's not that great, the amplifier itself. Here are the categories that I've selected going forward when I review amplifiers. This is going to be a lot of fun, okay? I'm going to keep a spreadsheet, and I'm going to try to be as clear as possible. So the categories will be, number 1, resolution. What I want to do with the resolution is essentially give you an idea of, how much can you really hear into the recording, right? How much do you hear? How much does this amplifier extract in terms of information, in terms of detail, in terms of that feeling that you're there? The resolution is going to be very important, a very important category. Next category, bass control. Pretty self-explanatory. Bass control is going to be it will be just about that. How well it controls your woofers. Does it have enough bass? Does it have enough punch? Is it loose? Is it tight? Is it fast? The number that I'm going to assign here will more or less let you know where I rate it, where I stand with it. Next category, clarity. Very clear. I don't like muffled sounding amplifiers. I gotta feel like it's almost a glass in terms of the clarity. I can see right through it, right through the recording. I want to be able to feel it, and I want to be able to hear like I have no blanket in front of me and the music. Next one, sweetness. This is a very interesting category that I threw at the last minute, guys. Sweetness is really a category, in my opinion, that is very subjective. But I threw it out there because you guys have to realize one thing. Not all amplifiers are sweet. Okay? In my opinion, there are 2 types of amplifiers. There might be a third category somewhere there, but I think for the most part, 2 categories, 2 camps. 1, those amplifiers that are very sweet, like tubes. So think of any tube amplifier out there. Also think of Momentum, think of Constellation, think of Luxman. That, you get the point, right? That camp is the sweetness amplifier camp. Then you got the other camp, which is those that are about speed, about slam, dynamics, going from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, the explosiveness, the attack, that amplifier that just takes you to levels that the sweet camp can't, because usually sweet amplifiers lack that kind of, not aggressive presentation, but that presentation that punches you in the gut and takes command of the presentation. Mainly, I believe those are the 2 camps that exist when it comes to amplification. Some of you guys love to ask me all the time, Jay, tell me which, how is the Luxman in comparison to this one? Is that one better? Do you prefer it over the Luxman? Is it better than the Luxman? For me, it is very difficult, guys. It is very, very difficult for me to compare a sweet amplifier against a dynamic amplifier. That amplifier with speed and slam and explosiveness, because they're so different about their business, about how they deliver the presentation. How do they present the music to you? It's so different, guys. It's almost like comparing a sports car against a 4-door sedan that rides on air suspension. It's so hard. You can't compare that. It's the same thing, guys. So remember that, okay, when you go back and you think about the amplifiers that you have selected and, for as your best amplifiers, think about which camp they fall under. Okay, and that's usually an indication of perhaps the type of amplification that you like, that you enjoy, that you prefer. Okay, so think about that. So this category, sweetness, is going to be very difficult for me because I also believe that there are components that you can add to make the presentation sweet. or cabling that you can add to help with the presentation. So that's going to be a very difficult category, and hopefully I don't struggle with it. But I may eventually end up replacing it. I don't know yet. For now, I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to do the best I can to give you my honest representation of what the amplifier is trying to tell me. Next category, slam and dynamics. Basically, this is category number 2. Which camp is the amplifier? Does it fall under this one, or does it fall under sweetness? I am going to rate both categories. So clearly the category that has the highest score, in my opinion, is kind of telling you, okay, so this amplifier is more about slam and dynamics. It's not really a sweet amplifier, or vice versa. Okay, the next category that I'm going to have is called soundstage width and depth. If you know anything about me by now, if you've been following my channel, I really, really like the soundstage to be wide and deep. If I find that the soundstage is compressed, narrow, I'm not even interested. I'm shutting it off and putting it up for sale. That is a non-negotiable for me when it comes to amplifiers. It isn't. There's no negotiation with that. That has to be there for me. Detail, the next category. Detail. Detail can be pretty much tied to, you could say, resolution. But to be honest with you, again, some of these categories might change down the road. I don't know yet. But detail is something that very few amplifiers pull off successfully. I feel like some amplifiers have this capability of going about their business and just throwing all this information and all this newfound music within your music that others just can't seem to do. I have noticed this with this particular amplifier that I have here, but I'm going to talk about it a little more as soon as I finish with these categories. Next category, aesthetics and construction. This is going to be more or less my opinion when I compare the amplifier to other amplifiers that I personally own. So what I'm going to say is it pretty? Is it ugly? Is it well constructed? That's basically what that category is about. How well constructed is it? Are the binding posts plastic? Are they crap? Does the amplifier take, is it heavy? Is it light? You get the point. Next category. This is very important. This category could easily catapult a lot of amplifiers ahead of others that you may not necessarily have expected to lose. Why? Because value for the money, it is very important in my opinion as a category. This essentially tells you, if I, let's say, rated an amplifier out of 10, this is telling you this is one hell of an amplifier for the money. This is a hell of a bang for the buck. And the reason why I come up with that is because I am comparing by memory how that amplifier performs against those that are very expensive, superior amplifiers, nevertheless. But how close does it get? How much of that music are you taking with this cheaper amplifier? That's what that's telling you. If I rate something a 10 on this particular category, just remember, this is telling you it is a lot of amplifier for the money. A lot of amplifier, okay? And I am comparing again in my head against those very expensive offerings I've had here that you guys have seen on my channel. And then the next category will be Jay's personal grade. This is a category that I am going to add, which is the final category. This category will basically tell you my sentiments about the amplifier overall. That will let you know this is how I feel. Or as a whole, this is how I feel. Now, keep in mind, if I rate an amplifier a 7, a 6, I'm comparing against other amplifiers that I may even have here. In my head, I'm comparing about, the overall package of the amplifier as a whole. That is a very, very important category, meaning if I say this is a 7 for me, to me, that's a hell of a rating, a 7. To me, that's above average. Average would be 5. Usually that tells you it's an average for me. 7 is up there for me. Don't expect a 10 here. For me, a 10 is probably going to be hard to give. I probably don't even have an amplifier that I would give a 10 right now, because clearly there are so many more options that I have not explored yet. And then the last one is called overall score. That's when I come in and I say, I give this amplifier 83 out of 100. 80, 75. That will be the total of everything else. And then that will tell you as a whole how the amplifier performed for me. Okay, so here we go. Are you guys ready? Okay, so this amplifier, $18,000 MSRP. When it comes to resolution, I give this amplifier a 7. When it comes to that category, I give it a 7, which in my book is a great rating. It's a very good rating. A lot of resolution happening with this amplifier. There's a lot of information, detail that it just throws at you. I actually felt like it had a lot of separation that I probably haven't heard so easily from many other amplifiers that I've owned. I mean, I felt like this amplifier completely had almost 2 doors swinging open, left to right, right to left. And I was able to hear my right speaker literally play bass by itself. It didn't sound like it was both speakers playing bass like some amplifiers do. I felt like if it was an instrument on the right hitting hard and they had bass associated with a note, I hear it only from my right speaker. That amplifier is amazing when it comes to that resolution of the ability to separate things. Bass control. This amplifier earns easily an 8 for me. Excellent bass control. Pressurizes my room. My chairs vibrate. I mean, it's incredible how I feel. Like, it almost feels like somebody's touching my shoulders anytime the bass was hitting. Incredible bass control. This thing has, I mean, it thumps, guys. It really does, and it's tight. There's, no overhang that I can detect. And I was very shocked how well it reminded me a lot of my Griffin in terms of the bass control. And Griffin is king when it comes to bass control. Clarity, outstanding clarity. I felt like this amplifier allowed me to have not only clarity but transparency. Every time I change the cable, I can hear it so easily with this amplifier. A power cord, I heard it right away. It's so prone to it just allows you to hear every cable change. And it's something that some amplifiers struggle to do. I would say Pass Labs, like the cheaper Pass Labs, don't really have that much more ability. That they're not really, how can I say this? They don't show you quite easily when you make big cable changes. Power cords help Pass Labs. I remember that, my Pass Lab amplifiers. But this amplifier in particular, it makes it so easy for you to understand what happened to the presentation the moment you do a cable swap. It really does that for you. So again, for clarity and transparency, I'd give it a 7. Sweetness. I struggle with this category, guys, because I feel this amplifier falls more. It doesn't fall within the sweet camp. It doesn't fall within the Luxman. It doesn't fall within the Constellation. It doesn't fall within like tube amplifiers within that camp. It doesn't do that. I gave it a 5, meaning average, in terms of what most amplifiers will give you in terms of sweetness. The next one is Slam and Dynamics. This is easy for me. This was an 8. All day, every day, 8. Why? Because it had, on top of the bass control, it had an ability to just give you these swings and the ability to take you, really, really fast and then slow things down at the drop of a dime. I mean, it was excellent at doing those things. Again, it reminded me a lot of my Griffin, a lot of that presentation, which, by the way, I do believe the Griffin is in the dynamic and slam camp more than the sweetness. Detail, detail was all there, guys. Really, really easy. Detail is an easy 8 for me. I don't have to think about it. This amplifier was not, rolled off. This amplifier was not muffled sounding. This amplifier had, in my book with my cables, all the detail I could wish for. It really did. It almost reminded me of a tube amplifier in many ways. It really did. Aesthetics and construction. This is a 7 at least. Very easily a 7. This amplifier is roughly about 94, 95 pounds, so it's quite heavy for a stereo amplifier. I have had amplifiers that are much heavier than that, 120, 130 pounds, but this amplifier runs very cool. Very, very cool. It doesn't get hot. It doesn't burn your fingers. When you touch it, you can play it for days at a time, and it just does not break a sweat. Value for the money. I give this an easy 8. Value for the money, 8 to me is outstanding. 8 out of 10 is outstanding. I feel this amplifier brings you some of the best traits from the expensive offerings out there. Some of the finesse, some of the control, the size of the soundstage. It just gives you a beautiful taste of things that those expensive amps do. It really does serves it to you, and I don't feel like you're left wanting anything else, if that makes any sense. I never felt like I needed more of something with the amplifier. I felt like the amplifier, just had everything for the, and a lot of bang for the money. It really did. I mean, I still believe it earns an easy 8. Jay's personal grade. I'm going to say, guys, this is my first review. And because I have a lot more amplifiers to review in the future, I am going to land this amplifier at a 7. As my overall grade, a 7 out of 10, which is quite high, as you will see as I continue to review amplifiers. So the overall score for this amplifier, the entire overall figure is 71 out of 100. And now for the final unveil of the amplifier. For you guys that have been asking me and messaging me and sending me text messages, driving me crazy. You guys know I love you all the same, okay? Here's the amplifier. I hope you guys listen to what I'm saying. I hope you guys can really enjoy it, and if you find it, you'll remember my words. This is one hell of an amplifier for the money. Sim Audio 860 version 2. That is right now, in my opinion, the best dynamic amplifier under $20,000. You're looking at it right now. Don't ask me how it compares to the Luxman. As I mentioned to you, there are two different camps of amplifiers. They sound nothing alike. That amplifier to me is actually closer to the sound of my Griffin than it is to the Luxman or the Momentum right here. Okay? I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I will do one video with maybe a presentation of the Moon Sim Audio against the Momentum S250, so you guys can understand what I mean by two different types of presentation, okay? Hope you guys enjoy this new format, guys. I'm going to try. It takes a lot of work to do, but I hope you guys have enjoyed this new review and what will be coming on my channel. So, yes, you will be forced to watch my whole channel to know what I rated the amplifier from now on, okay? Enjoy, guys. Enjoy your weekend, and I will be not say what's coming, but there will be some things that will be here in the next few weeks. Please subscribe. Thanks.